Another big game, 6-pointer. Moyes, is this going to be his last game against his former club? The pressure's mounting. Last week didn't do him any favours. We are going to be covering the West Ham versus Everton game, looking at the likely lineups, injury news, Moyes' comments in the week. This is the big match preview. Joining me today is the one and only Ryan Archer. You all right, Ryan?
Yeah, they was probably expecting Chesney Hawks when you done that intro. Then the one and only. Yeah, no, I'm all right, mate. As you said, mate, massive game this week. Look, last week was a big game against Wolves, disappointing defeat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was one of the worst performances I've seen under David Moyes or under any West Ham manager for a long time. No fight, no heart, no desire, no passion. When you're down in the relegation zone, mate, you need a lot of that. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult game, mate.
That's the thing, mate. You said it there. When you're in a dogfight, if the results ain't going your way, you want to see the heart, you want to see the passion, you want to see the desire to win every tackle, to win every ball, and we're not seeing that at the minute. And when we look at this game's probably being touted as a sack race. Frank Lampard under a lot of pressure at Everton. Moyes obviously under a lot of fan pressure, not necessarily pressure from the ball, but a lot of fan pressure because he's performing the performances and his point tally are not looking good. So this could be the sack race. It's a tough one.
God, this could be the first Premier League game in history where both managers could get sacked after the game. Because I'll be honest, mate, I think that this will be David Moyes' last game, win, lose or draw. I think they've got someone lined up. Whether it's, I know there was a lot of rumours the other day, Rafa Benitez may be coming in. I've seen some stories tonight, but now they're targeting Sean Dyche. And if Everton lose, could be Lampard's last game as well. You see what happened last week after they lost to Southampton at home. I've always respected Everton, especially their fans as a football club, because they're a bit like us. They're passionate, they love their football club, and they're not afraid to speak up. It's tough times for them. It's tough times for us. So this could be the makings of a great game or one of the worst games of football you've ever seen in your life.
It's going to be one of them where either both teams are going to go for it because they know each team's under pressure, and it's going to be a case of who's going to crack first. Everton I expect to come at us quite lively. If they can get that early goal, turn the crowd onto the West Ham players' backs. I think we're going to play a key part on Saturday as fans. We need to make sure we stay behind. If we do go a goal behind early doors, we need to stay behind the team. That's what Everton are going to want. They're going to see all the sort of stuff that's floating around us at the minute, all the stuff that's going on Twitter, the pressure that's building on Moyes, and they're going to want to get one over on us. They're going to want to get that early goal and add that pressure on. So we've got to try and, as much as it's going to be hard, we've got to stay behind the team the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, playing at London Stadium is probably perfect for Everton. Better because the last place they want to be at the moment is Goodison Park. So coming to London Stadium, silencing the West Ham fans early on, getting stuck into our players, it could be the perfect game for them. Our players need to be up for it. The fans definitely need to be up for it. I mean, I was at Wolves last week and it wasn't great. The atmosphere wasn't great. It was very frustrating, but fans only react with what's going on the pitch. It's easy for people to say, I'll get behind your team for 90 minutes. But when you're sitting there and you're watching players not putting in the effort, it frustrates the life out of you. And as I said, this could be the perfect game for Everton.
Do you think Moyes has added more pressure with the comments that he come out with after the Wolves game? He was on a podcast as well, apparently, earlier in the season, and that's come out and he's turned down. It was Alvarez who initially who's gone to City because Antonio was playing well. And the fact that we only had one striker at the time, I can't see how he justifies us being unlucky. Performances that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, we're far from unlucky.
No, I mean, Scott, going back to the Wolves game last week, there was I can't even remember any clear-cut chances. And every chance we did have, it looked like our players had lead in their boots. Couldn't even hit the ball. We couldn't string two passes together. We looked nervous. So I do understand with earlier in the season where we was unlucky with some decisions and the missed penalties and things like that and VAR, but not in the last few games. I wanted him to turn it around, but look, he hasn't. And it was them 3 games just before the World Cup when we lost to Palace, Leicester and Blackburn that made my decision that I thought, there needs to be a change. We had the World Cup. We've come back. Nothing's changed. And yeah, we've picked up a good point at Leeds in the league and we beat Brentford in the Cup. But apart from that, mate, we're looking desperate. They haven't got someone giving them a good kick up the arse. And Moyes has lost the dressing room for me. So as I said, win, lose or draw, mate, there has to be a change at this football club. Otherwise, we'll be doing fan cams in the Championship next season.
Other teams seem to have a game plan against us. They've worked us out. Moyes seems very reluctant to change things, in my opinion. Again, I bring up the defending the corners. You look at Wolves, the goal that they scored last week. They left their two quickest players higher up the pitch. And what happened? They cleared the corner and then, boom, go down the other end and put the ball in the back of the net. We defend every set piece with 11 men in our own 18-yard box. We're set up as a counter-attacking team. We've not got oodles of pace. So, I just feel that teams have worked us out and worked Moyes out in a minute, and he seems reluctant or just too stubborn to change it.
What worried me, Scott, last week was we conceded the goal so early in the second half, and straight away everyone's head was down. I can understand that if it was the 92nd minute, but you've got a whole half to go, and you could just tell that we wasn't going to get back into that game last week. Wolves weren't as good as us, wasn't that much better than us, but the difference is they wanted it more, and they was willing to just put in them extra tackles, create chances. We wasn't doing that. And Moyes got it wrong from the start. Ben Rama on the bench, wrong decision. Ben Rama come on, and straight away, as soon as he come on, he got the ball when he was trying to make things happen. And within 10 minutes, I think we had 3 chances.
When we're sitting here talking about Moyes going, and there's a lot of people still out there that think we should stick by him. When you look at the points tally that we sacked Pellegrini on, we were discussing earlier before we come. Pellegrini had 19 points, I believe, from 19 games. And Moyes now is standing on 15 points from 19 games. It doesn't bode well for Moyes at the minute unless by some miracle he gets a comfortable win and could go on a run. But I just can't see that happening.
Scott, you remember when we sacked Pellegrini, we just lost at home to Leicester, and you felt it coming, and it had to change because it was some of the worst football I've seen. But what I've seen over the last few weeks is it's on level, if not worse than that Pellegrini era towards the end of it. The only thing that I think is stopping him at the moment is there's rumoured that he's going to have to be paid off £7 million. So that tells me there that, and I've watched this lot stick with someone like Avram Grant for a season when they could have, I think at the time we could have got Martin O'Neill or someone like that to take over, and they didn't. And look what happened. And I think if they stick with David Moyes, then as I said, it'll only end in one way, and that's relegation. Over the past couple of years, you can't deny he's given us some great nights, some great memories, great results. But you can't keep living on the past and thinking about their moments. It's about the now, and we have to get on with it. As soon as we was linked with Rafa the other night, straight away people on Twitter getting on his back. You can't do that. I'm sorry, you cannot do that. If you want David Moyes out of the football club, then if Rafa does come in, then you've got to get behind him. You have to. He might not be. He's not my first choice, but you want something different. He had a good record at Valencia. He done well at Newcastle when he done brilliant at Liverpool. And the geezer owes us an FA Cup as well. So he owes us a trophy. So I'd get behind him 100%. Whoever they bring in, I'm going to get behind 100% from the start. I'm not going to jump on social media and start slating him because he's not my first choice. At the end of the day, he's the club's first choice. And if the players take to him, then, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, mate, exactly. I'm with you. It is, look at the team news. Rumours floating about. We've lost Samaka for a month with an injury. The only positive I can see, and me and you are normally quite positive going into games, is Zuma should be fully fit for this one and start.
Yeah, I mean, Zuma was on the bench last week at Wolves. He's obviously trained all week, so I'm expecting him to come straight in and play alongside Aguerd. I think if they can get a partnership going, one thing we've got to stop doing if we want to start moving up the table is conceding goals. You don't concede goals, you guarantee the point in this business.
Yeah.
So stop the goals, and then hopefully if we start scoring them, we'll be getting 3 points. Yeah, Scamacca being out is it's a blow. It's a massive blow, especially when you've only got Antonio as your fully fit striker. And what I see of him last week and what I've heard about him around the football club is he's very toxic. He showed that on the pitch last week. He didn't look interested, jogging around. So, but yeah.
Everton really are sort of almost at full strength. They've got a couple of players out, but they've been out for long term. So, I just feel they're going to be looking at this one. They're going to be thinking this is a game that we can get at them. And they're another side that are sort of underperforming and should probably be higher up the league. Earlier in the season, I think when they beat us at Goodison, they built their base of their side off of a decent centre back pairing where they got Tarkowski and Connor Cody and their leaders. And I feel again we're lacking a bit of leadership in that side. Dawson not playing the other week, I think, was ridiculous. Is he going to be available this week? We don't know. It's just crazy that in a massive game like that, a 6-pointer, and the fact that the player's not left the club, that you leave him out of a squad. I think that was madness.
I agree with you, Scott. I don't care if they're linked with whoever. They play until they've gone. Unless they're picking up a fuss and causing disruption, which Dawson ain't going to do. Dawson's not going to do that. He's too professional to do something like that. But with going back to Everton, you look at, they got a great result at City the other week when they drew at the Etihad. But they're sort of, their run is same as us. In the last 5, they've lost 4, drawn 1. So we're pretty similar. We're on level points. I think it's just 1 goal difference between us and Everton. So we're very similar on form this season. When I look at the 3 that they play up top, Iwobi, Gray, and Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin, he ain't scoring, but you can guarantee he comes to London Stadium, he's going to score because that's what happened. That's the West Ham way. And Zuma and Aguerd can handle Calvert-Lewin. They can handle that. Iwobi and Gray, look, that's where Declan Rice needs to get a bit more involved. He has to play a little bit deeper for me, just like he does for England, and sit in that role. We'll go through our teams in a minute that we're talking about, but the team I've picked is I've gone for a bit of flair, and I want to see us play football on the floor because Everton play it in the air, and the grass is on the floor, not in the air. So I want to see us get that ball down, play some football, and let's leave that London Stadium on Saturday, hopefully with 3 points and a smile on our face.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. So talking about that, take us through what you think the starting 11 be, right?
Do you know what, mate? I've gone for, obviously, Fabianski in goal because Areola's still out. My back 4, I've gone for Soufal at right back. I've gone Aguerd and Zuma in the middle, bringing Zuma straight back in because I think we need him. And at left back, I've gone for Ben Johnson. Now, the reason I've gone for Ben Johnson is because I think Creswell was very poor last week. And I know he's played in some big games, and I think he scored against Everton last season. But I've gone for Johnson because I think defensively, Johnson's better than Creswell. And I think he can get up and down the wing. He's not as good as crossing as Creswell, but I ain't worried about that at the moment. We need to stop leaking goals. So I think just bringing Ben Johnson in at left back, because I think he's done well for us there when he's played there. In midfield, I want Declan Rice sitting in just the front of that back 4, like he does for England. He needs to do that a bit more, stop bombing forward. And then in front of him, I've got Paqueta and Fornals. Fornals ain't afraid to get put a tackle in either, which he's going to need to do against Everton. Paqueta, I ain't seen him get his shorts dirty, but I ain't worried about that. And then obviously out on the right, I've gone for Jared Bowen. Not in the greatest of form at the moment, but I still think on his day, he can change a game. He can get us a goal. And on the other wing, I've gone for Ben Rama. I think Ben Rama has to start. He proved it when he come on against Wolves at the weekend. He wants to get the ball down and play, get the balls in early. And then up top, obviously, I did have Skamaka, but after hearing the injury news, I've got to go with Antonio because that's the only person I've got. But I just like the look of that midfield 3 of Rice, Fornals and Paqueta. I mean, people could say, oh, Thomas Souček for his height, but look, Thomas Souček hasn't brought nothing to the team for a long time. Yeah. So I just think we need changes. We need something different. People probably won't agree with me with Ben Johnson's situation. People might not like that midfield because they might not think he's strong enough. But it's what I think that, we've got to change it up, and I think that's a very strong team.
Yeah. It's mad, right? So people will think we sit there and spoke about this before the game, and we haven't. We've kept our 11s. Well, I've literally just done mine, and Ryan done his earlier, and he kept it quiet for me. But we're very similar. So I've gone for a 4-1-4-1 system, right? So I've gone Soufal right back, Zuma and Aguerd are 2 centre halves. I've gone Emerson left back because I think he offers more going forward. Bowen on the right, simply because we haven't got any other right midfielders in the squad. The same midfield 3 as you. Rice holding Paqueta and Fornals further forward. Benny on the left and Antonio up top due to Skamaka's injury. So very, very similar, just different left back. So
Yeah, so basically, we're looking at, I've gone 4-1-4-1 if you want to
yeah.
put it like that. So we know he's going to start Creswell. We know he's going to start Sutek. So we might as well fucking throw our teams away.
That's it, mate. So what is your score predictions for Saturday?
David Moyes' last game, we're going to win it, and we're going to win it 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham. Very nervous, edgy. I think it could be one of them games where we find ourselves 2-0 up, playing well, and then a mistake happens, and then you'll find yourself the last half hour, everyone on the edge of their seats, nervous. But I think we'll see it out. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I was gonna. I'm sort of feeling the same, mate. I think it's going to be a very, very nervous game. But I think we're going to nick it 1-0. I think we're going to get a clean sheet. I think we're going to nick it 1-0. But I think it's going to be a very, very nerve-wracking, edgy game, and I think we'll probably score quite late on. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. So yeah, a 1-0. That's it. And as I said, me and you are normally the positive ones of the channel. So
To be fair, even in this current situation, we're trying to keep it positive.
Yep.
We're looking at it. We're all on the same. The thing is, whether people look at it as negative or positive, we're all on the same level. We all know it's time for a change at the football club. You look at the teams we're picking. They're pretty similar. We know what this football club needs. And as I said, whether it will be David Moyes' last game on Saturday, which I think it will, win, lose or draw. We have to move on and we've got to start climbing that Premier League table.
We'll be back next week with all the build-up to the Derby game. Check out all our videos that are going up over the weekend. And one thing left to say.
Come on, you Warriors!